What's up guys, welcome to the artclasses.com. Today we are going to talk about how to simplify a painting or drawing in this episode. So simpler is most of the time better because it's hard to read well, right? And then I'm going to show you how to make a straight line or how to make your line a little more straight or consistent when you're drawing on a tablet. So I'm going to do a demo on that also. And if you want to pledge on my Patreon, you get a bunch more video tutorial from there, so just help me out over there. And then if you want to take class with me, just go register at the artclasses.com and you find Geo Painting 101 and character design. Alright guys, let's get started. Oh, you can feel free to post a question down below. I still have one more tablet to give away. If you want to, just become a subscriber and post a question down below and you get the tablet. Alright, let's get started. Alright, it seems like a lot of people still having problems transition from line art into digital painting basically. So in this video I'm going to show you the kind of like a little longer video because I think I made that video before, but you guys might not really understand what I'm talking about. So in here the transition, basically keep it simple. This I start out with shape right off the bat, so there's not really a line art, and it's basically the same. You can start off with the line art or same thing. What is going on here? That's too many layers. So okay, so you start out with line art. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do the line art here, and this is part of my Patreon tutorial. I haven't finished it yet for September. So you can start off with the line art, then you can just fill in the line art with the shape, right? And then you can work from there. You can turn the line art off and working on with just the shape and continuing doing light and shadow, right? And you can have the outline out there with or without, it doesn't really matter. But if you want the line art to be there, if it helps, then it helps, then you keep it there. So it's almost there, so I'm trying to get this one out in September, so you can be my Patreon. You get this one. I think this one will be on level 3, but you get a portrait one on level 1 and level 2. All right, so I guess that should answer your question. The question is from the Bob Bim 123. Any good advice on how to stop with line art and start directly with painting process? I can't seem to get out the mindset. It always line art for me. I feel like it's limiting me anyway, in many ways. It doesn't. I start out with line art. I draw before I paint. If you can't draw, then hardly you can be able to paint. So everything's related. So with the line art, it's just like I explained. Use your line art to your advantage. If you can get a good line, then you can get a good shape. So once you get a good shape based on the line that you have, right, just the outline, and then you can start light and shadow and everything else on top of it. So it's basically everything is related. All right, or you can start out with shape right off the bat. So on this one, this is a tutorial for Patreon in September. So you can start out with shape and the background, right? And basically shape derived from line, so you have to know the outline, how would this thing look. Then you break the shape apart, so you have this, and then you kind of adding more value, apply material, then it become this thing, and then add more detail. So it's line, shape, form, material, then detail. So basically that's what it is. All right. So line is basically the foundation of shape. So it's not your obstacle, line's your friend. It's like in this one, I start off with just the line art and a little bit of shadow from the live drawing. So basically it's just line, right? And then I just fill it in with, if you don't do grayscale, you can start off with color right off the bat and then adding shadow, and then adding everything else, then it's become that. So line to shape to form, and then if you have material, then it's become material. So it's not your obstacle. I think you have it the wrong way. If your line is not good, then your shape will not be as good. So make sure that the shape is good, then the form will be good. because without a good drawing, then you can't really have a good shape, and if you don't have a good shape, then you don't really have a good form. Everything has to be correct. It's all about precision and a bunch of, it's not like tiny little detail, it's the precision of the whole thing. So detail doesn't, I mean, when people say detail, it's like a bunch of design detail inside it. So it's basically form first, all right? Oh, and this one will also be on my Patreon level. I forgot what it is. Probably the level 3 bonus video tutorial. So, all right, and the next question, Nicholas MacNeil writes, I'm trying to learn how to draw women, and intellectually I understand the idea that less is more when drawing them, but I have a lot of trouble keeping it simple. Do you know of any reliable way to know which line and plane I can leave out in drawing? So, it's, you know what, it's a lot of practice, and usually through time you will know. I can't really tell you what it is, but usually I will rely on light and shadow, and if the line in the light you can leave out, then you will have to leave out, but then you have to know exactly how light and shadow works, and the light and the shadow definitely has to be there because it's always going to be darker. And the other way to go about minimizing your line and having the economy of lines, go to live drawing, especially gesture session. So this one is 1 minute gesture, and a look at the face. I just have a few lines, and that's it, and the face and the hair pulling out. So basically, when you are in the pressure of a small amount of time that you have, like in 1 minute, to trying to draw the whole figure in a gesture drawing, then this probably going to take you at least 6 months to be able to grasp whatever gesture drawing is and things, even more. So it's not going to be a one-day solution, and my answer is probably not going to help you much, but it will show you the way of how to get your result. And if everything is easy, then everybody else will be doing it, and everyone will be like successful by just listening to it. It's like everything else, you know, you can need practice. It's like an athlete. If you want to be a good basketball player, you got to be practicing all the time, and to get the result that you want, or to get the result that I want here. So it's taken me a long time, like years, to get to be able to know like which line to put down. I don't need the nose bridge because that's the way of the light coming, right? So I just need the bottom of the nose, and the upper lip will be slightly darker than the lower lip because that's gonna be where the shadows reside. So, and then the rest of this figure. So just 1 minute gesture, just go do a lot of gesture drawing, and this one is probably like 3 minutes or something. And a lot of lines are pretty much minimized. There's not a lot of sketchy all the way over here and there. So I hope I answered your question. So go live drawing, and that's the only way to help. You draw from reference, there's not enough pressure. You have reference laid there all the time. You can, and it's not that good. So just go to live drawing, and then you get to, you know, pressure yourself to do something in a minute, and then you instinctively trying to find something that you think look good with the minimal amount of line, basically. So I hope that helps. It's kind of like when you are trying to add too much detail onto your painting or something like that when you don't need to. Like in this one, you know, if you look at the whole figure here, it's readable. There's eye socket and everything in there. You don't need that much, and it's readable as what it is. So it's good there. You don't need to go in, and I just put whatever is necessary there. So this one will also be on Patreon. I said September, yeah. And yep, there are more accounts. It's the similar idea to painting. Say if you look at this image at this, you know, distance, you only need that much detail, and that's gonna like make the audience understand like what this is. This communicate like her, a bunch of wolves and puppies, and you don't need that much detail on the face unless you're gonna present it in form of like, okay, you're gonna present in this size, then you're gonna need that much detail, even though it has the same exact lighting, but I enhance it a little bit more in more detail, right? So you can have more detail when you zoom in and want to present your artwork at this size. But at that size, you don't need this much detail. But at this size, you're going to need this much detail. So it depends on where and how. If you're just drawing a portrait, then you're probably going to need more than a bunch of line and gesture that I drew earlier. So it depends on the size also. That's also relevant. And the same like this one, the further away one, you don't need that much information. But as it comes closer and you want to present it at this stage, then you can have more detail on this dude and more detail on the gun. Same thing. It's like the establishing shot, mid shot. So it depends on how you want to. And this both will be on my Patreon. And then I'm going to have another one, which is like the close-up shot, which is here. I'm still working on it. It's supposed to be here pretty soon. So, all right. Next one, Evilcatrobot. Right. I was wondering, how do you get your brush strokes? So what should I call it? Non-shaky. Whenever I try to make a straight line or curve in the Photoshop, it's always look incredibly shaky since there's no stabilizer option there. Do you have any tip or trick, or has it never been an issue for you? I know that there's been stabilizer app out there, but there have been people getting non-shaky line without such app in Photoshop. Would be nice to hear your take on it. Okay, so when you draw a line in Photoshop, it's a lot harder than drawing a straight line in paper already. And you don't I don't do line art in Photoshop. If you see in any of my painting, you will never see line art in my Photoshop file. But I can answer your question. So if you can get the straight line on paper, then you're ready to get a straight line in Photoshop, because it's basically the same thing. If you can't get a straight line on paper, then no matter what, you can't get a straight line in digital. So you're gonna have to use your whole arm, or at least from your shoulder, or you can use the elbow. Like in here, I'm just gonna do a little demo here using the elbow. Right, so just, it doesn't matter. You don't have to like, oh, I need to go straight. Right. You don't have to go slow. Just go there. Just be, it's not super accurate, but it looks accurate because I pretend that it's accurate. I still have a little bit of line that out there. It's not totally out, but you know, just go in one quick motion. You don't have to like, you see, even if I go slow, I still can't do that. So just go in one quick stroke motion and practice in your paper in a different form of one quick motion that will have the same angle. And I don't think people pay attention to this enough. Like if you see books of how to draw, you see in the first chapter, will be like, okay, practice this line stroke, and you're supposed to do that, and we're supposed to do that all the time. And if you go to live drawing, you'll be doing that all the time, because you can use a lot of quick line, left, right, and then straight, you know, even though this kind of straight, right? So, but just do a quick motion. You can't slow down. You have to commit to your line. And this also part of my Patreon in September. Is level 3 and up, character design, and this is a close-up of the character design. So yeah, just do one quick motion, and you have to be pretty spontaneous to get that, and use your shoulder rather than using your wrist, and that will be a lot better. So that's I always do, and try to make, you know, practice on paper with just a line. It's kind of like when you're painting, you know, people focus on geometry and stuff, and people never pay attention to this simple thing. I didn't either, but I started to pay attention when I get a little bit better and try to improve. Then I go back to the foundation, and then I found out that the foundation is a lot more important once you get to want to know how to get better at certain things. Zillow tip writes, how to quickly improve line art. Should I emphasize on doing simple shapes or complete drawing? I don't think, I barely do any line art on my tutorial, but I got a lot of line art questions, which is kind of weird. Also, just, well, to get the fluid line, just have to do the quick motion like I explained earlier, and you don't go and try to slow down stuff because the lines can be crooked. So to improve the line art, basically quick gesture. Complete drawing, that's totally different thing. That's not gonna always improve your line. You're gonna be trying to do thick line and go to thin, right? That's gonna be super slow instead of thick to thin. Same as pencil, doing the same thing. Like if you're doing pencil, which is a circular shape, you just press harder in the beginning and then lift it up in the end. So it's basically the same thing. Digital or pencil, you know, it's just gonna take a while to get used to digital. So yeah, I hope that helps. But you know, focus on your motion and focus on your fluid movement rather than focusing on slow method or something. It will improve your line basically. Unless you're inking, then that's a totally different ballpark or ball game. All right. So next, Jojo Joseph writes, how can you get used to line art your work in digital? I don't work line art in digital. That's what I'm just saying. And I collect all these line questions on purpose because I have no idea what they get the idea from for their line. I don't do line art on digital. I just, if you want to look at my line, it's pretty like super scribble. There's no, if you look at the line here, there's nothing pretty about it, but it's just spontaneous, a bunch of scribble, right? But I don't usually do line, I just paint. And then on the painting, that's where I simplify a lot of stuff. And this is a tracer in her underpants or something. So this will be on my Patreon September. So just, you know, pledge on my Patreon and support me, man. Come on. 150,000 and I have 80 supporters. But thank you for everyone who is supporting my Patreon. I really appreciate it. And I can make longer and better tutorial, right? So yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Just all these things that I've been talking about. That's why I accumulate a similar question to here so I can make a simple video. So, all right. Last question. Hepzibah writes, question. I live in a country where there is really no gaming or digital art scene. India. I want to be a digital artist, have the resource and time to make it happen. Is it possible for me to still have a digital art career to get clients from across the world in the future after building portfolio out and clients dependents across country from can I expect a client across the world? Please answer. So I know a lot of people who is from, you know, like Siberia, not a lot from Siberia, a few from Russia, from anywhere, but they work with clients from Japan, from US, from whatever, and a bunch of really good artists in Eastern Europe that work with clients in Western Europe and in England, and they don't even have to fly over there. And I also work with clients in Scotland and Ireland, and I don't have to go there. So yes, it's possible to have your client all across the world as long as they want your stuff, and as long as you do what they want, then basically yes, you will be able to find them. And a lot of time, just send out your resume, but a lot of time if you already been working in industry for a while, they're gonna find you, or the recruiter is gonna find you. So, and I mean, it's getting really competitive nowadays, so they probably wouldn't issue you a visa or something like that. But yes, it's possible that you will have a client from across the world, because I think a lot of companies hire like people from China to work for a bunch of card games or a bunch of mobile games and all kinds of things. So if you can do what they ask you to do, there's nothing to worry about, man. You'll be okay. Just do what they ask, and don't forget to go support me on Patreon. All right, guys. Well, and this one also be on my Patreon. This one's not really my favorite, but whatever. All right, there'll be a bunch more coming, and I will show you next week. And a lot of my older tutorial are on Gumroad, so you can go and support there. And if you see me uploading a bunch of time-lapse painting, it's not speed painting, because I think a lot of people misunderstand between time-lapse and speed painting. Speed painting, you're not supposed to spend more than an hour on the actual time. That's a speed painting. And like when people do a time-lapse of like 6 hours and they call speed painting, that's pissed me off a little bit. Because speed painting is supposed to be short and, you know, the less time. And I think we should correct the term and use speed painting in the correct term from now on, please. And time-lapse is time-lapse. Speed painting is speed painting. It's a totally different thing. But anyways, if you see me uploading a bunch of time-lapse video and a link to the Gumroad, I'm still doing a tutorial, so I'm not gonna just only upload a time-lapse video, but you have to admit that those are better quality than the one that I did in 30 minutes, right? And those are speed painting. And a time-lapse one is a longer one, maybe 3 hours, 2 hours. So yeah, but you can get those on Gumroad because I spend a lot of time on it and my time counts for something, right? And you can still have a bunch of free tutorial on my channel. It's a lot, like 400 more on the bunch of stuff that I upload throughout the year. So yeah, guys. All right, well, thank you for your support, and I will talk to you next week or this Saturday or something. I'll upload more stuff. All right, guys, bye-bye.